So how do you see the perspectives of a nuclear weapon zone in the Middle East?
Well, the perspective on the whole, following the failure and following the blocking of the consensus on the 2015 NPT regime is a very negative one, because we saw the gap widening between the nuclear weapon states and the non-nuclear weapon states. We saw that there was a non-fulfillment of commitments, of obligations, people coming back, and therefore, especially and on the Middle East is the prime example of that, because this is not something that was new, it's something we have been pushing since 1974, and it's been part of the MPT, part of the indefinite extension of the MPT was extended based on this Middle East resolution since 1995 for over 20 years, and we have not been able even to get a conference.
Why?
A conference to begin, because I believe there's a lack of political will. You can say many excuses, but the real reason that there's not a lack of political will to push this forward. And we are very disturbed by that, we're very concerned, because that hits the credibility and the legitimacy of the MPT. We proposed, and the chair of the conference in the MPT at the end presented a proposal which, as a result of what the Arab countries and the NAM and the Russians and even the chair of the committee, the Spanish chair of the committee proposed, and she presented a compromise. It wasn't our proposal, it was a compromise proposal, a very moderate one, to have a conference convened by the Secretary General based on consensus, means any country can say no to any decision, and in a certain time, and the original date, there was an original date in 2012, therefore put another date, and invite every country, and yet even this moderate conference to start, to launch a process. We know that this zone will take in many years. It might take 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But even to start discussing this was blocked.
Who blocked it?
It was blocked by 3 states, by the US, the UK, and Canada. And therefore we were very disappointed, because we believed it was forward-looking, it was constructive, it was positive. This has been a preparatory process with all the parties. It included even a line that says that called on all the parties to officially have talks, direct, intensive engagements between all the parties of the region, which was never mentioned before. That means it would have put all the parties to talk together officially, not on a mountain hill, somewhat informally, but officially and formally. What more engagement and more than that? But this wasn't. So therefore, this is very disturbing, and makes a negative impact on the whole MPT regime.
But why did these 3 countries?
You have to ask them, of course. You have to ask them that, and but we feel that there is no political will on that, and we are going to continue to push with this. And the reasons they say are, as you've heard, consensus, but it is there. Arbitrary date, but the date was decided before, and therefore we have no, perhaps to try to speak on behalf of non-NPT members, to stand by a non-NPT member, but we don't believe that is healthy, that the NPT should be guided by the wishes of a non-NPT member.
So does it mean they're trying to placate somehow
Of
Israel?
course. Yes.
And there's nothing one can do.
Well, we have to push. This is part of the agreement. This has to be, and the international community was react. This is not an Arab proposal or an Arab proposal only. This is part of the depository states have a special responsibility. So the whole MPT community must address this situation.
And it's not the first nuclear-free zone.
Of course, and we believe that the nuclear-free zone is in itself a confidence-building measure. It is the ultimate confidence-building measure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.